Great, Dan. Well, welcome. Dan Zitofsky is joining me here. My name's Carl Loop. Dan, thanks so much for joining. And you were just talking about all the peoples, the project managers, the contractors, and so forth that you're in touch with every day in your business. Tell us a little bit.
Sure. Well, thanks. It's a pleasure to be on here with you, Carl. I know we speak a lot online, and nice to actually speak. This is as much of in person as we can have right now. This
Right.
what's going on, and we're making the best of it. But yeah, I'm being very intentional with my business and my personal life to really stay in contact with people that I value, people I could help. So I reach out to every day. I have it set in my calendar that reach out to investors that I've worked with, lenders, my private lenders, to make sure that where they're at, if they're having any issues, if they're having trouble, what are they looking to do in the future. Let them know what we're doing so they feel confident to still fund their deals. My contractors, my project managers, my tenants, investors that buy our turnkey rentals from us, see where they're at, how they want to proceed, what their goals are. And, I spend at least an hour to 2 hours every single day reaching out to, family, friends, personal relationships I have, because I'm involved in a lot of fun. I do a lot of fundraising stuff. I do a lot of donations to, senior communities, veteran communities. And because I'm into boating, I'm into fishing, that kind of stuff a little bit. And I do it a lot with the retirement community around me. And I want to reach out to them, make sure they're okay if they need anything. So I'm really being intentional in positivity in my life, and I don't pay much attention to what's going on in the news that much. I try not to focus on what people are saying in social media that's negative. I try to stay in the positives because I can only control what I can control. And that's really where I've been for the last, I can't believe it's 6 weeks already,
6 weeks, yeah.
Making the best of the situation. And it's been okay. I mean, I'm ready to get out. I'm missing getting out, but in all retrospect, I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to be healthy, and my immediate family is healthy right now. And we have I think we all know people that are going through some tough times with the virus happening. I think we've all been hit somehow with somebody we know, and that's hard. But that kind of, we're praying for them, and we're keeping them in our blessings and prayers constantly. But for us, it's what can we do? Can we get bogged down? It's so hard not to get, it's so easy, I should say, to get bogged down in the minutia that's going on right now. And it's so, it's intentional not to. You have to intend to do something outside of the ordinary, outside of what everybody else is doing. Like I see people, they spend so much time worrying about the stimulus plan, and they spend so much time worrying about this paycheck protection plan. They spend so much time worrying about these SBA loans and unemployment. And I know people need it, I do. But they spend so much time on that. And that's ultimately, they're setting their mindset up for, how do we get something for free? How do we look for coupons? How do we, devalue ourselves? And it's a mindset shift. It really is for people. That I did this years ago, and I told people, I said, listen, rather than sit there and take all my time and waste it on looking to save money on things, I look on, where's my time better use and where's my time spent, and it's bringing value to people. Like my mentor had got online this morning, and he had said something about, you don't always have to be paid for what your time is worth. And understand that, like, if you think you're worth $400 an hour, are you really worth $400 an hour? And a lot of times that's an ego thing for people, right? But what do you do intentionally to build value and create value to people? So that's what I love to do. So in the grand scheme of things, I think we started off like, what am I doing now? It's just providing a tremendous amount of value to community, trying to be positive, trying to show them that there's ways right now to come out of this on the top of the market, right? Raise private capital, learn. If you don't know how to do it, learn how to do it. There's no better time than the next 3 months to learn something that could take you into the business and move forward. Just the trajectory to move forward over the next 10, 20 years is going to be phenomenal if you actually put your head down now and you actually do the work now. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to help people do. Yeah. But I'm not going to force people to do it. That's the other thing.
Fantastic. Very good. Let me tie in with you a little bit. You really have a lot of thoughts, a lot of energy. So you hit on focus, you hit on distraction, you hit on kind of being a victim. do you think that people are, what puts people into action? Do you think people are pushed more by pain or pulled by a vision, as Steve Jobs said? Do you think it's more vision oriented or pain? Or let's talk about you, for instance.
Well, for me, it's definitely my vision, right? I wrote a book called Passive to Prosperous, and the first chapter is what gets me on my speaking events. It's my vision. My vision has changed, right? Yeah. A lot of people, you have to back it out. You really have to look at somebody's vision, like who they are, what they want. You have to ask questions to yourself, like why? What you want to do this business? Why? What does it bring you? Well, it brings me time with my family. Why do you want time with your family? Well, because I want to travel. Why do you want to travel? Like, break it down, really get deep inside yourself and really understand your reason. Now, why do I think a lot of people take action? Not what I'm going through. I think it's fear or pain. They're afraid. Like if I tell you you need to raise $1 million today, and you tell me you can't do it. Well, if I put a gun to one of your kids' heads and say, if you don't raise $1 million in the next 30 days, you're going to lose your family. Well, they're going to find a way to do it, right? So it's the fear or the pain. Yes. And people need to. It's a shame and it's sad, but people don't invest time and money in themselves. And that's the big issue I see. I see it across the board. People are looking for free. They're coupon shoppers. They'll spend. I'm telling you, what I see going on is people will spend endless amount of hours and time and complaining and moaning that they're not getting their stimulus check of $1,200. Right. Like, what is $1,200 really, in the grand scheme of things, what is that going to do for you? For the amount of time you spent trying to get that $1,200, you could have put together a business and you could have generated $10,000 in the same amount of time. And that's the mindset. We're taught, and I go really deep into this, and I do it with my own kids. We're taught to be followers. From the time we're in school, time we're babies, we're taught to follow. We're taught to abide. We're taught to collaborating with people is a bad thing, right? Right? Like, so when we go to school, I tell my kids this, and my daughter says, if I did that, Dad, you wouldn't be happy. And I says, but cheating is a good thing in school, right? People think I'm crazy, but we collaborate, right? If I'm good in math and you're good in science, why can't I help you with math and you help me with science? That's collaboration. But in school, it's taught that that's not collaboration. That's cheating, right? Oh, someone's calling in. That's cheating, right? Gotcha. So that's the problem with that kind of stuff is, people are. I think my point is kind of brought home with that a little bit far, and I could go really deep into it.
Oh, I know. I'm sure you could. Let me ask you this. So, what do you think of this statement? The less people want to, if somebody has to do something, they'll do the least when doing it.
Do I think, as a general statement, I think it's true out there. I mean, like they say, and I see it, because if you leave somebody an opportunity, they'll do the least amount possible instead of taking advantage of the opportunity to the fullest extent, right? Like they have right now. And I think that 20% of the population, that's saying that 20% of the population makes 80% of the money, right? In any field, right? Right. It's an 80-20 rule, right?
So you agree that people do the least when they have to and the most when they want to?
Well,
or do you agree with that?
I don't agree normally with that. I think they do the most when they have to.
More when they have to?
When their backs are against the wall, they do the most when they have to. If they would just do that, like right now, I almost see it as a have-to time right now. I'm talking about in the real estate investing world. I see it as a have-to time, right? You have to figure out a way right now how to raise private money. That's the biggest thing. And that's why everybody's having me on the webinars right now, because I teach a couple things. I teach how to raise private money, and I teach how to build a rental portfolio and become the bank, earn passive income. So people, all of a sudden, since 2009, I've been preaching this. And now people are realizing, wow, Dan Zitofsky is right. I don't have private money. I can't close on these deals. My business is almost we're almost out of business. We have no control of our business. We literally lost control to hard money lenders and the banks, right? But once you control your life and you control your destiny as much as possible, listen, nothing is a guarantee, ever. But you can control once again, I'll go back to my original statement. You can only take action and control what you have the ability to control. I cannot control what's going on with the coronavirus right now. I cannot control how many people. I can control myself because I can not get involved, not get infected, not bring it to somebody else, not run into, to stores with no mask on. I can control that, but I can't control what I have no control of. So I still think it's back down to people. When you tell them they have to do, when you show them they have no other way to do something, they do it. But it's a shame because it should be exactly the way you said, Carl. It should be vice versa.
That's interesting. I appreciate that, your thoughts on that. That really is interesting. So how do you let go of control, Dan, of things that you can't control? Because many people don't, right?
It's a process. That's a work. It really is a process. I apologize, and I'd be lying to you if I said it was easy, right? And to your audience if I said it was easy, because it's not. And I'm in a mastermind group. I have mentors myself, and you should have some kind of mentor. You should hang around a network of people that hold you accountable. But I have to I get held accountable from my mentors. I get held accountable from my wife. I get held accountable from my family. She's like, well, you teach other people how to live a vision, but you're chasing money now, and that's not in your vision. And I had a nice pendulum switch years ago, and really, that's what we talk about a lot in the book. And when I speak on stage, we talk about my vision now. As I used to chase money, I used to be very money motivated for the wrong reasons, right? It filled my ego. It made me feel successful, but I was doing it because ultimately, when I dug down deep, I found out that the reason I did it is I wanted time. I wanted time with my family. I wanted to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, right? But chasing money was doing everything opposite. My actions were I wasn't aligned. So my vision was going in one trajectory and my actions were coming here. And as time went on, we got further and further apart. So it's not easy. It's something that you have to be active at it. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know anyone who's perfect, right? If you could show me somebody who's perfect,
right?
I just don't know anyone who is perfect. I don't know anyone who does things perfect every single time. We all screw up. And I think people don't understand that. It's okay to screw up. We screw up. We do. You could look at us and you could say, well, this guy's got his affairs in order. He's got everything going for him. He's making nice passive income. He's living the life that I want to live one day. But I still have things that screw me up, right? My vision sometimes gets misaligned and I have to be brought back to alignment. I sometimes, react when I shouldn't react. And I sometimes blame others when I should be blamed. Everything that happens to me is my fault. It's never anybody else's fault. If I didn't show somebody how to do something the right way, that's my fault. If I screwed up, maybe I didn't ask questions. I was scared to ask questions because I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was talking about. So I'm very good now about being humble and being vulnerable to people. And I'll tell you right off the bat, if I don't know what I'm talking about, say, listen, I'm asking this question because I don't know the answer. And I'm not scared to ask anymore. But the difference is I ask questions now because I'm going to take action. There's a lot of people that ask questions that don't take action. They just ask questions to be heard. And I have a word for them. I'm not even going to put it on the show, but I have a word for them. And,
I'll bet you do.
yeah, I have a word from that. That was given to me from somebody else, but I won't even talk on it because it's probably not the right word to say. But it's people that they ask questions and they're never willing to take action. And that drives me, if anything drives me insane, that drives me insane, and it shouldn't, because that's their mindset. That's their garbage in their head that's stopping them, and I can't control what's in their head. One thing I can't teach, a couple things I can't teach people is I can't teach them ethics. They either have it or they don't, morals and ethics. Right? I cannot teach that to them. I cannot teach them effort. Okay. And mindset. They need to have a mindset. They need to figure out their own mindset, their vision, their goals. I could help them, direct them, and open their eyes. But, and I say this and I watch it because there's so many times I present opportunities to people. And they just either ask questions and don't take action because it's hard to do what we do. It's not easy. When I raise capital, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not something I could do overnight. And I say this because I see a lot of people do it the wrong way because it's the easy way. But it's not going to build a business for them. It's not going to do anything to them long term. So why not take the time to build it over 3, 6, 9 months to a year to build it the right way, and then use trajectory into this transfer of wealth that's coming, and you have it for the rest of your life. But no, they see things so small. And, and I look at things on a different level. I look at things like, if you can, why can't I? That's how I always look at things. I always ask questions, right?
Yes.
And if not me, then who? Right? Somebody's going to do it. If not me, then who? Now it has to fit my line. It has to fit my vision and my alignment.
Yes.
But there's nothing I can't do if I want to do it, because if I can't do it, somebody else will.
Let me tie in with you. So, some people ask questions, but they're not asking the right questions. They're asking sort of figure it out questions rather than take action questions. Is that right?
It's more that they ask questions, but they get the answer, they don't do anything with it. There's a lot of people like that, right? How do I do this? I could lay it out for you in 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can tell you exactly to do this today, this tomorrow, this the next day, and this the fourth day. They won't do it.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? They're going to sit on it and walk away from it.
It's the fear of, a lot of it is their fear of failure. People are scared to fail. And once you get over that fear of failure, because who are you fearful of? Why are you scared to fail? Because you're going to be judged? That's really what it comes down to. We're always judged, right? Years ago, I had no money. I had nothing. I mean, I literally should have been a statistic. Not to go through my whole story, but I should have been a statistic. And I was scared to be judged. So that's why I chased money, because that was success for me, right? To have money. And then I started making a lot of money. And then I started getting judged as I was the devil because I was wealthy. Right? Wealthy people are bad. Right? So I'm always judged.
Right.
And that's the fear of some people. And I'm not fearful of being judged anymore. I know internally I'm a good person. I know money is an object for me to help many, many organizations, many people. Money is not a bad thing. What you do with it could be good or bad, but people are always going to judge me. I mean, if you look at politicians, they're judged all the time, right? We're being judged because we have money. So, the rich get richer, right?
I mean, the whole country, the whole world is in a battle around pointing out how people should do things or aren't doing things right.
Exactly. You're never going to stop being judged. And once you get over that, the world just becomes amazing. When you start networking, you start hanging out. Like I hang out with Carl Loop. I hang out with the people with the right mindset. Or I could hang out. I could sit on Netflix and sit on Facebook and watch the misery that goes on and hang out in that group and get involved in that negative conversation. And it's just going to make me miserable. I can't do anything about it. Or I can hang out with positive people that are actually doing something for this world and bringing content and bringing happiness of some sort to the world, right? So we do these, and I'll tell you, we're on this conversation, right? You're not paying me to be here. I do get paid for speaking events. I'm not being paid to be here. I'm speaking because I truly want to bring content, and maybe somebody, it'll click with somebody. And that's why I'm doing 4 or 5 interviews a day, because maybe it clicks with somebody and they're like, you know what? I'm sitting around and stop blaming myself, or stop blaming, my boss, or stop blaming my family for not being successful. And what really is success for me? Because I don't know what success is. A lot of people, you ask them, they don't know what success is. They don't know why they want to do what they do.
I agree.
If you dig deep, and that's what you'll find, and we get very deep when we actually mentor people, or people come in our group. I get really deep with them. We hold each other accountable, because the bottom line is, if I can tell you how to do a business from start to finish, but if you don't have your mindset and your vision straight, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
Right? It's never going to work. And we all need to be held accountable, including myself, for that.
I think that, I think as an umbrella, people can protect less and grow more. And, when you're protecting, your identity from being judged, and, that you're the certain person that you want others to believe you to be, because they hold their opinions of you. You want to be careful of their opinions about you. I think that whole protect thing, if you can, that's a big piece. I agree. For getting out of the way so that you have freedom, so that you can explore and discover who you are. And then, as you say, define success yourself, ask, bigger questions like if not me, then who, and why not me, and so forth. Questions, humble, ethics, effort, all those things can come when I refer to it like this: instead of doing for something, you're doing from something.
I love
from
that.
who you are. How about that? What do you think of that?
I love that. You might hear me use that one time. I'll
Oh,
give you credit.
welcome.
I'll give you credit, Carl, if I use it. I always try to give credit to the people because, this stuff like that sticks with me. It's true. It's
It is
really
really
true.
the shift. If you're doing for something, you're trying to protect yourself because you don't want to look bad, because you want to have money and look good. And, you were told to do that by programming. So you're doing it to please the person that programmed you, so forth. I mean, sort of, okay. It may not be 100%, but something in that realm. So,
Well,
you had a break now I know your story a little bit. You had a break of doing for money, as you said, for your ego,
Mhm.
to doing from something, which was your love of your family.
Right.
Is that
Right.
correct? Tell us about that.
What's that?
Yeah, tell us about that. I mean, I know that's right on the back cover of your book.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So obviously growing up, it was a tough life. Not that I always say that, not that I was homeless or anything like that. I did have a roof over my head, and my father, he worked. He actually supported us. He did okay with that. He worked a lot to do that. My mother took off when I was younger, in the teenagers, and very vulnerable time in my life. That I was close to my mother. She just took off. It wasn't really ever loving anyway. My father was kind of working and trying to keep the house in order and doing out and, dating women and doing his thing. He wasn't really around from the time I was a teenager, but I had all these friends where their parents were both around. So there was a lot of resentment to see that they came from good homes and I had nobody there, right? We had my father we didn't have a lot of money. So, going out, I didn't have money. I had to work for myself to have money where everybody else's parents would give them money to go out. Wasn't even there to drive us to a movie theater or to the mall. And, I was kind of embarrassed because my friends' parents would say, "We'll drive you. Can Dan's parents pick you up?" And I was making excuses and lying and that kind of stuff because I was just embarrassed. And they didn't. So I always swore, I remember from the time I was 14, 15, I swore, I says, when I grow up, I'm going to make so much money. I'm going to be so successful. And that was always in my head because if I had money, I was successful, right? I had money. My kids would never have to go through that. I would never have to say I don't have money for going on vacation. I never went on vacations. I would be able to take them on vacations. That was always in my head. That was programmed for so many years. Go to school, get a good job, make money.
Oh yeah.
That was just programmed in my head. The success was money. And when I came to the point of finally, starting to really get going, right, in my real estate business, my career, I started flipping 40, 50 houses every single year, and I was making $50,000 to $80,000 net on the property. So I was making multiple seven figures, right? And I'm at cars, the boats, the watches, the vacations, everything you can imagine, right? My wife didn't have to work. She was home with the kids. We have a nice house. We're on a golf course. So people are looking and they're seeing success. Everyone else's husband and wife are working and, they don't have as much. And, I was just beating my chest. It was my ego. I was successful. I was driving the nicest cars that people put on social media right now that they don't even own, but I own these cash. I don't have a debt on them. And I'm just buying to humbly it was for my ego, to build my ego. And it just came out that, my wife came and she said, you're not a good father. You're not a good husband. And that crushed me. That part, I get goosebumps now even talking about it. Because, when she compared me to my parents growing up, and that is anything what I didn't want to be, right? Not that my father I'm close with him now, and not that he's a bad guy. He just didn't understand the love that I always wanted for my family, right? It was different kind of love growing up in that time. But I thought I was the best husband in the world, and I thought I was the best father in the world. And when she said that to me, it was kind of like just taking a knife and putting it in your heart, because everything you worked for to be successful, the one person you love, truly love, is telling you you're not successful, because success wasn't money. It was, they asked me why I was making money, it was to be a good father, to be a good husband. So I was neither of those because I was making money, but I was making money to satisfy my own ego. And my own ego was, I wanted to make money, be successful, because I wanted people to say, look at that guy, he's successful. And I'll tell you what, you could prove this. Anyone could prove this right now if they're going to watch this. Go on social media and put a post about how successful you are if you want. I don't know if I recommend that. Or put a post about something very vulnerable in your life and watch how much communication you get on each post. And I'll tell you this, when I started putting out and I started becoming vulnerable and telling people the story, and I tell it to them not to impress them, but to impress upon them of what they're going through, probably because people are lying they're lying constantly right now. So if you're vulnerable, it could be anything about your relationship. It could be about weight, right? If I get on and I take off my shirt and I said, I'm overweight right now, but I'm going to lose weight and I would love people's help, I would have 400 or 500 comments and likes and shares. But if I put on there, here's how you build a passive income stream. These are the 4 steps. I might have 50 comments or 50 likes, right? If I put a beautiful car, if I put a picture of my car online, people might have some thumbs up, some likes, some, hey, that's a beauty, good luck, and that's it. But you put something vulnerable on there, right? Because nobody's honest. If you put, and I shouldn't say nobody, but the general population in there, because they're protecting themselves, right? They're protecting their image.
Yep.
So when you start putting vulnerability out there, right? Like my book is right here. I even keep it in front of me all the time, right? I always have it in front of me. Oh, I love it. Oh,
I have your card right now. I will get your book.
I love it. So, but I always
when you get to those stopping places, I have something I want to tie in. Go ahead.
Sure. But I always talk about it because it's so important to me. So I talk about it in my book, how to build. It's called Passive to Prosper, right? Passive income to prosperous life. But I always focus. I said, focus. I don't care what business you're in. Focus on my first chapter, because you could be a stockbroker, you could be a doctor, you could be an insurance agent, you could be a realtor. It doesn't matter what you are. It talks about vision. And if you sit back and you figure out your vision, everything in life will change, right? So you have to be honest. You have to be vulnerable. If you're vulnerable, you'll have a lot. It's hard to be vulnerable. It really is, right? We don't want to be honest. We want to lie. We want to put the facade out. But people are watching you, right? Your kids. And I always tell this to my students too. I said, I don't care what you tell me. Your kids are watching you. And I had a student of mine, and he said, I remember the story he told me. His kid wanted to be he wasn't doing the work I told him to do. He wanted to get to a certain level, and I gave him the rundown, the 5-6 steps of what you need to do to actually start bringing the business in. And he was taking the easy way out, okay? It was taking the easy way out, okay? And he wasn't doing what I told him to do. And he told me one day in a car, he says, I was talking to my kid, and he wants to be a professional baseball player, a Major League Baseball player. And I coached baseball for a lot of years and football for a lot of years. I said, really? He said, what's he doing about it? And he says, well, it's not really, he plays Little League. And I says, well, is he in the backyard? Are you in the backyard with him, throwing him, at least having him swing 100, 200 times a day? And he says, no. And he says, why? And he says, he really doesn't want to. And we went through this whole rabbit hole, and I finally got to that point. I got down to the point, as far as him to realize that he's watching you. You told me you want to be successful in business, but you're not taking the actions. I told you to make phone calls every single day to sellers, motivated sellers, to tenants. Are you making those phone calls? And he just looked at me and his mouth dropped. And he said, so you're lying to your kid is really what you're doing. Because your kid, you could tell him all you want. Listen, honey, you could be the president of the United States one day. Well, daddy, why aren't you doing what you say you want to do? Kids watch. They don't listen. Believe me, they watch. I'm telling you this.
They look at the behaviors. They're not trying to figure it out.
My kids are a little older, and they watch. Believe me, they watch. You could talk to you blue in the face, but you got to realize you could tell your kids, you could tell your grandkids, you could tell, if you're a teacher, you could tell students something. But listen, it's actions are everything, right? So stop. I always tell people, stop lying to yourself. We're crushing it, right? We're working 100 hours a week. We're crushing it.
Right.
What is crushing it? That's the thing. What does crushing it really mean to you? What is working hard? Why do you have to work hard? Why can't you work smart? And there's so many things. There's so many parts of life that you can't grasp it all, but you have to be willing to commit to your vision. And it all falls back on your vision. If you can commit to your vision while you're doing what you're doing, and then ask questions, does this fit my vision? If it doesn't fit my vision, I'm not going to do it. I don't care how much money I can make because I'm not money motivated.
Yeah.
And my mentor he's great, and he holds me accountable. And what are you? Who are you? Who is Dan Zitofsky? And nothing in Dan Zitofsky says, this businessman that wants to make $1 million. It doesn't say that. It says, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm an uncle, I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a mentor, I'm a business creator, I'm a mentor, I'm a coach. Nothing there says, hey, I want to open a roofing company and make $1 million a year. Yeah. So if you present me with a roofing company to make $1 million a year, my problem is I always want to jump, right? Because it's just exciting. I like the excitement. But it doesn't fit my vision. It's going to take away from stealing from my wife, my kids, from my students, from things I love, my nephew, my niece.
Having those enriching life experiences. There's a difference between riches and enrichment, right? And you're a very rich and enriched person. You know, you're wealthy. You know, and right now you're measuring wealth by how much you love your life, not by a comma or a zero, even though those are happening for you as well. I'm sure, big time.
Yeah, we all we focused on that was in the past, but now we had to figure out a way to turn that transactional income into passive income, because the passive income gives me the life I want.
Right.
So basically, I look at, when I think about my vision, and this might help people, I wake up, I think about, how do I want my life to look? I literally I have it written down in my calendar. How does my life look all day? So I wake up at what time? What do I do when I wake up? Who am I with? What do I do in my business? Do I go to the gym at this time? Do I have coffee with my wife at this time? No, this has kind of jumbled it up a little bit, right? It's good. Dan, you got a vision. We're going to throw it against the wall and screw you up because you got it all figured out. We're going to mess you up a little bit. And you know what? I changed a little bit, but that's what you have to do. You have to adapt. I'm not just going to go in a hole and cry, right? So I write my day out. And this is not, I gotta give credit to the mentors I have. This is not something I figured out, right? That's why mentorship is so important. And that's why when I mentor people, it's the same thing. You have to have people holding you accountable, right? So I write my day out. What does a perfect day look like? The Dan Zitofsky. What if I could forget about I don't care about being an engineer in this. I don't care about figuring out how to do it. What is if nothing else mattered, money didn't matter, responsibilities, what does the perfect day look like to Dan Zitofsky? What do I want my day to be? And I work backwards. So I figure out what my day is, what time I'm going to wake up, what I'm going to do when I wake up, when I'm going to work. We talked about it in the beginning. Who am I going to call?
Right.
Different times of year. Summertime, I'm not going to go on speaking events. I don't care how much you pay me. I cancel. In fact, 2 speaking events I was being paid for, May and June, got canceled. They got pushed to August and October. Both of them I'm not doing. I lost a good amount of money, over $25,000 plus for each one that comes out of it, just paid speaking events. I'm not going to do it. I don't care. You could pay me $1 million to speak in the summer, to travel all summer and speak. I'm not going to do it, because my summertime is spent at the beach house with my family, with my friends, on the boat, on the beach, doing what I love to do. That's me. That's who I am. That's my perfect day. And no money's going to get in the way of that. And no headaches. I mean, headaches come up, but no headaches. I'm not going to choose to say, okay, I'm going to take on a student that's going to irk me and drive me insane and be negative and limited mindset and scarcity. I'm not taking on any student. They could offer me any amount of money. I wouldn't take them on if they don't fit my vision, if we don't align. Because once again, then I'm money. The reason I'm saying this is because I've done it for so long the wrong way. It's the only reason I know the right way now is because I screwed up. I got it, and I'm gonna, I can't lie. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's, I want people to understand that it's okay to. I screw up, and I'll screw up again tomorrow. I'm sure there's gonna be something I screw up on. I screw up every day. Yeah,
I mean, if you can make a small deal out of a failure and just grow from it, and quit protecting, there's a lot to be said for all that. And only in being bold do we really live, anyways. And I think you're a pretty bold person, and I really enjoy your expression. One of the things I wanted to say was I remember a story recently of how you closed on a house and you offered up $50,000 more than really was called for, because you said people above profits.
Yes.
And you're doing things that I'll remember for a long time, if not my whole life, because you're being bold and you're being vulnerable, which is, a source of being bold, being vulnerable. So you're right. It makes a big difference.
Because I believe, my grandfather taught me this one. He was a great mentor in my life, and he always, do unto others as you want done unto you. And, don't do something because you expect something in return. These stories stick with me since I tell you stories when I was 7 years old that he taught me life lessons that you didn't realize back then. And I was like, I was so mad at him for doing it. But, now it sticks with me. I wanted to tell you a quick story. I remember I was watching you could look at when the Christmas Story came out, when that movie came out sometime in 1970s or 80. And I still remember it was Christmas time, and he lived in New York, and he's taking me for pizza and ice cream. Him and he didn't drive, so we'd walk, and it was always like miserable out. I still remember it was like rainy, sleety out, and he took me to see the Christmas Story. So whenever that movie was, and I was probably like 8 or 10 years old, So I remember we went for pizza. We went into the movie theater in Queens, New York. I opened the door. I'm holding the door as like an 8 or 10-year-old kid. And this old lady walks in, and it was raining, sleeting. And I said to him, I said, she didn't even say hello. She didn't even say thank you. And he looked at me. He said, all he said was this. I still remember like this. And he goes, is that why you held the door? And he kept walking. And man, as an 8 or 10-year-old kid, that stuck with me.
Awesome.
And I taught that to my kids. And I think about that. You know how many times I do things and people just aren't so ungrateful? But I don't do it because I want them to be grateful. I do it because it benefits me. And I don't mean benefits me monetarily. It benefits me in who I am. I feel good about myself.
Your sense of self, yeah. And that connects back to, not doing for something, doing from something.
That's why I say I love that, and that's why I might use that.
Yeah, definitely does.
I learned that from my grandfather. He was a great role model for me. So
a small story on my side. My mom died last year, and they had a very difficult. My mom and my stepfather, her husband, had a difficult relationship for a long time, but he continued to love her in spite of all the circumstances and the troubles and the turmoil, and he did it not. If a typical person, was doing for something, I should be loved because I'm loving you and I'm giving to you. You should be loving and giving to me. But he didn't do it that way. He did it from who he was. Mm-hmm. That was from who he was. He was a loving person, and he just continued to be that for my mom.
That's awesome. That's such a blessing. Such a good story to hear. It's a blessing to hear that. And I pray all the time, and I do, and I pray that. The wisdom that I learned from my grandfather, the wisdom I learned from my aunt and uncle, like they were really good role models in my life. And I just want to take that wisdom and be the best version of Dan Zitofsky I could be. Right. And just, maybe that spills onto somebody else and they can take that and be the best version. And that's why we're doing what we're doing is we're just trying to help people because they're in mass confusion at this point. They're scared. They're confused.
They're distracted, as you said earlier, and off track.
And I feel for them, I really do. But I want people to help themselves for sure. I want people to take this time and really go from good to great, and whatever it is. It doesn't have to be make a lot of money. It's just good to great, whatever it is.
Some people count greatness in terms of how many lives they've saved.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all. What's nice at coming at us, and I mentioned this on an interview I did a couple of days ago. I says, it's finally nice to see that we don't see, we have the NFL draft coming up this week, but we're not talking about athletes right now. We're not talking about musicians. We're not talking about actors and actors. We're actually giving honor to the first responders, the nurses, the doctors, the medical staff, the police, the ambulance, even teachers. People actually realize how great some of these teachers are because now they have to teach their own kids. And Johnny and Sally aren't the best students in the world. They don't behave like the way you think they behave. So these teachers are like, you got to give them credit. They really, these are the heroes. These are the people that are, to me, are heroes, right? They're in the front lines and it's nice to see that they're getting treated like the heroes because they really are the heroes. And, that's what we need.
Thank you, Dan. And let's wrap up. But before we go, see if you can answer this. Look at this with me. I would really appreciate you looking at this with me.
Sure.
If you could name 2 or 3 or even 4 categories of action takers, how would you categorize? How would you come up with, this category has this kind of person? Would you look at that?
I don't even know if I understand the question. I have to be honest.
Okay. Let me try again, Dan. So if you had to say, we have different personality types, Myers-Briggs talks about, INTJ or whatever. If you had to categorize 3 different action types or DNA types, can you do that? How would you look at that?
I like to use the Disney scenario, right? Okay. They have 3 different types of people, right? They have the Imagineers, right? They have the engineers, and they have the implementers, right? So I use that. It's funny you asked that question because I use that exclusively like in my own predictive index, right? When I work with people. So you have to realize what you are, who you are, right? You have to realize if you're the Imagineer, if you're the engineer or the implementer, right? And if you're the Imagineer, you're going to take a ton of action on your ideas, right? If you're an engineer, you're not going to take a ton of action on your ideas. You're going to engineer everything. and really break it down. And that's what you're going to do. And if you're the implementer, you're going to make it happen, right? I can come up with the idea. And if you're the engineer, Carl, you can figure out how to make it work, and you can give it to the next person. They're just going to make it happen. So you have to utilize people for their skill set. Like if I take a predictive index, I'm off the chart as an Imagineer, right? I'm a CEO type, right? That's why I can consult. I can get brought into companies. I work with some dental offices. I've worked at a real estate office. I work in insurance offices. I can get brought in. I do sales training and consulting. They could bring me in for that because I have that mindset. But if you ask me how to actually figure something out, I don't care about that. I don't care about the minutia. That's why you put the engineers in there. And that's why the Imagineers and engineers shouldn't even communicate too much together, because as you come up with an idea, the engineer will tell you all the reasons you can't do it.
All the problems with it, right.
So I think it's a great question, because we actually do this I do this on a daily basis in my business, right? I figure out the action takers, and why am I asking an engineer to take action on an Imagineer's idea? It's not going to work, right? So I think everyone has their own action they take. Now, on the other side, you have mindset. You have limited beliefs. They don't believe they can be successful. Okay, they like to be safe. Okay, but there's no such thing as safe, because let's say people that have a 9-to-5 job, they think it's safe. Well, let's just say you walk in on a Monday morning and get laid off. How safe is that 9-to-5 job you have? Okay, so you have that. You have the you have the people that are safe, and then you have the scarcity belief out there, right? Well, I'm not going to share anything with you because I'm scared you're going to compete with me. So you have that going on as well. So when you have, I call it like when you have the holy grail, as you have somebody, and it's not I'm patting myself in the back, but I think I have the holy grail, right? I have the mindset, right? So I have the Imagineer, but I don't have a limited belief, because my belief is always, Carl, if you're doing something, why can't I? I've always thought like that. I've never been jealous. I've kind of been enamored by people, right? I want to emulate them. I'm not a jealous person at all. I love success in everybody around me, even people who've done wrong to me. I want you to be successful. I might not do business with you, but I don't wish anything bad, right? So I think like that, right? I don't have a limited mindset. And scarcity, I certainly don't have scarcity, because I share everything I have with people. I want to see people succeed, right? What I don't like is the limited mindset and the scarcity in people, because you don't grow that way. You know, it's the same thing they taught us in school. Go back to school, right? Take a test, do it yourself, figure it out yourself. Don't ask for help, because if you ask for help, that's cheating from your neighbor, right? Think about this.
Yeah.
It's crazy that in school we're taught not to work with our neighbors, because that's cheating. Well, how do you expect us to be great at everything? I might be great at math, but I might be horrible at English. Well, why shouldn't I partner with somebody who's good at English, and I can help them on math, and we can do this together? Why don't we teach that in school? So this is high level thinking. This is very high, and this is kind of, I'm the kid that always used to ask why, and my father used to be like, "Because I told you, that's why." That's how that's how I grew up. I didn't grow up, but I always ask questions. I ask questions about, faith. I ask questions about God. I ask questions about school. I always ask why. It has to make sense to me. I'm not the type of person to do it because you tell me to do it, right? I do it because it has to make sense to me. So I'll never stop asking questions. Yeah. And that's just the type of person I am.
And you discover so much when you ask questions, and even when you're being a little contrarian, you discover a lot.
You don't have to be argumentative, but you definitely could be contrarian. Sure. Yeah.
I was reading a story recently about how the high jumpers used to go over face first. They used to jump up, over the top, from the top, with their face forward. Now they go, the first guy that did it backwards started winning everything, because you're more powerful when you're throwing yourself over face away from the pole. That high bar pole?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was contrarian. A lot of things get discovered when you take a different route, look at a different path.
And people that ask why are the ones that do that. We've always taken, like in 2009, I started saying, I'm never going to, everybody else went to hard money lenders and banks, and that's how they built their business. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. I'll use them if I need to, but why? Why not? Why can't I just raise my own money? Why can't I raise millions of dollars on my own to do my business, to control it?
There you go.
Because it's hard. I know it's hard. Well, because it's easier with the hard money line. I know it's easier. But you see the situation we're in now, where coronavirus hit, and now all of a sudden your money is gone. you have no money, you have no business because you wanted the easy way, right? So once again, Dan Zitofsky said, why do I have to do it that way? And that's really how I do my hope. Every time they tell me I can't do something, I'll ask why or how can I make this happen? And I mean, you're professionals, you're lawyers, you're accountants. They don't even ask these questions. I mean, I'm telling accountants and lawyers sometimes how to do their job. And it's just because they go to school and they get a license doesn't mean they actually study the practice, right? I teach a lot of accountants at my events how I do what I do. I mean, everything we do is legal, but I read the tax code. I actually read the updates. And I always read the tax code. I figure out every way I can use the tax code to benefit myself and my investors, right? How do we pay our kids? How do we teach our kids how to invest? How do we use a solo 401k? How do we do self-directed IRAs? How can we do everything we could possibly do? That tax code is written for investment. 95% of it is written in our favor. Well, why don't you learn it? You know, accountants, most of them want the easy way out. They want to prepare a return and charge you a few $100s on the computer, and they don't want to think outside the box. The great accountants, the 20%, will actually be great accountants, and those are the ones who go from good, I call good to great. And I want to be the good to great, like you call.
Well, Dan, thanks for sharing your time, your contribution to this conversation and your contribution in the world. Please hold up your book again. Everybody can check that out on Amazon. Very nice, Passive to Prosperous. And I appreciate, you bringing me into your story and letting me get to know you even more today. It's a privilege.
It definitely was, and I appreciate you reaching out. This is a great conversation because so many of them are just about business, and I love my passion is speaking about mindset at a higher level, and I love this. So thanks so much for bringing me on the call. Have a great one.
Thank you, sir. Good day.